Welcome back, focused learners, to today's explainer. We've got something absolutely fascinating to dive into. We literally got our hands on an exclusive piece of source material, an internal orientation manual called The Guide Working with MobCash and Players. We're going to completely dissect this document to uncover the hidden mechanics of a shadow, alternative financial system. It's a brilliant inside look into how digital transactions happen when the usual rules just don't apply. Let's get right to it.
So think about this. How do you pay online when you absolutely don't trust standard websites? Or, what if standard web payments are just too difficult to use in your region? I mean, we completely take credit card processing for granted, right? But for a massive demographic of online players, typing a card number into a random website is an absolute non-starter. No way. Well, this document we're looking at outlines the exact solution to that problem. A shadow payment ecosystem built entirely on human interaction.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our structural roadmap for the manual. We'll hit Section 1, the Agent Payment Bridge. Then Section 2, Phase 1, Topping Up. Next up, Section 3, Phase 2, Cashing Out. And finally, Section 4, Important Rules for Agents.
All right, moving right along into our very first section, the Agent Payment Bridge, or the Human Connection.
This bridge concept is absolutely the foundation of the entire MobCash operation. The manual actually defines an agent not as a customer service rep, but quite literally as a human payment system. Just think about that for a second. You, acting as the agent, are the physical bridge for players who can't, or simply won't, use traditional digital payment gateways. You basically become the localized human face of a massive digital enterprise. You're swapping out that cold, impersonal website checkout page with a real live person. It builds trust, and it creates a super local access point for the digital platform.
So how does the actual money flow into this system? Let's look at Section 2, Phase 1, Topping Up, which is all about depositing money.
The manual breaks down the onboarding procedure for depositing funds into 3 really specific steps. Step 1 is the agreement. Basically, the agent and the player have a quick chat to agree on how they're going to handle the payment. This could be handing over physical cash right there in person, or maybe using a local peer-to-peer app. Then, Step 2 is to actually receive the payment. The agent literally gets the cash in their hand. And finally, Step 3, which is where the physical world meets the digital world, processing that transaction right inside the MobCash system.
Looking closer at the exact mechanics of that third step, once the physical cash is secure, the agent whips out their phone and opens the MobCash app. And by the way, the manual specifically notes this runs exclusively on Android devices. The agent just presses the deposit button, punches in the player's unique gaming ID, and enters the agreed amount. Boom! In mere seconds, the player's digital gaming account is credited. It's shockingly simple software design, honestly, built completely for speed and on-the-ground efficiency.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the internal accounting equilibrium it reveals. The manual is super explicit about how the app tracks the agent's funds. It's kind of like a seesaw effect happening here. When a deposit is made, the agent's cashier limit decreases. This limit basically represents their digital capacity to mint funds for players. But simultaneously, their cashier balance goes up. That balance represents the actual, physical, real-world cash they're now holding in their pocket from the player. So it's this perfectly balanced double-entry ledger happening right there on an Android phone. Pretty clever, right?
Of course, money doesn't just flow one way, does it? Let's transition over to Section 3, Phase 2, Cashing Out or Withdrawing Winnings.
Let's see how this builds on that deposit structure we just talked about. The withdrawal sequence is essentially the deposit process in reverse, but they add a really key security layer. In Step 1, the player has to be the one to initiate contact and request a payout. But crucially, they've got to provide the agent with a very specific withdrawal code that's generated straight from their account. Step 2 is the agent processing this inside the app, and then Step 3 is handing over the final physical payout. Looking at the actual app interactions required for this, the agent presses the withdraw button, enters the player's ID, the requested amount, and of course, that crucial, unique withdrawal code. That code is literally the digital authorization ensuring the player actually has the funds and genuinely wants to cash out. Once that goes through, the digital funds leave the player's account, and consequently, those digital funds are plussed right back to the agent's MobCash limit. Basically, their capacity to accept future deposits just went right back up.
Then comes the final physical payout, which actually brings a very stern kind of dramatic warning straight from the training text. The manual explicitly instructs the agent, use the funds from your balance to pay the player. Do not use these funds for personal needs.
This highlights a really critical vulnerability in this whole human bridge model. I mean, the agent is walking around with a growing pile of physical cash, right? So the managers have to aggressively remind them that this money is strictly for transaction turnover. It's not for your personal grocery run.
That strict warning perfectly sets the stage for our final section today. Section 4, Important Rules for Agents, focusing on operational security.
So the crucial point is how strictly this decentralized network is actually controlled from the top down. Remember, the app is internal, Android only, and deliberately hidden. There's no way you're finding this in the Google Play Store. It's strictly sideloaded onto devices after training. On top of that, an agent's geolocation is actively tracked. If they travel, they literally have to get their manager's permission to update their settings or the app just won't function. And every single transaction is monitored for integrity via admin reports. Plus, agents have to remain constantly available to their managers. It's basically total central surveillance managing this local autonomy.
But it's not all just strict rules and constant monitoring. There's definitely a carrot dangling at the end of the stick here, and this brilliantly illustrates the franchise nature of this whole operation. The manager's concluding note in the manual says, "We are here to help you grow. We can provide banners for social media advertising and offer bonuses as your network of players increases." So the system actively incentivizes these agents to go out, market themselves locally, and aggressively build up their own subnetwork of players. It really is an incredibly sophisticated grassroots growth model.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. What does it actually take to govern an entire shadow payment ecosystem built entirely on local human agents? Well, as we've seen from digging through this training guide, it takes a fascinating blend of highly simplified mobile software, really strict geographic and ledger tracking, and a highly incentivized franchise model to make sure this human bridge holds strong. It's a hyper-localized solution to a massive global digital hurdle. Thank you so much for joining me on this Explainer Focused Learners. Keep questioning how the systems around us really work, and I'll catch you in the next one.